Okay. Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of our leadership series. I have with me an incredible woman, Deborah Walliser, who connecting from Namibia. So honored to have you with me. Deborah is an incredible woman. She built together and on her own with a team a billion-dollar company around the world in farms and agribusiness, agro tech. So can you tell us your journey and what brought you to carry on in such a big adventure that worked?
Thank you for that lovely introduction. Yeah, I think it started like with all journeys. It started with an idea 20 years ago, and just before the idea happened, my background is in space biology, plant physiology, and with that background, I was one of the lucky people to be able to work on a NASA-funded grant project to put hydroponic systems on the moon, on Mars for the
Wow,
International Space Station.
really?
And
So you started at
uh,
NASA with your genius. This is incredible. Okay. Mhm.
that was the beginning. So I thought to
You were young,
myself,
probably. How young were you?
yeah, I was a student. I was an undergrad student at the time that I was working on these projects. Um, and this is 20, 25 years ago when people still had this excitement that we could conquer the next universe and the new space race, and
We
that
believed.
just died down.
We believed in bigger missions, and we can be part of them, like no matter how young we were, right? Yeah.
It was fantastic, and the nice thing about that journey was that we were given a directive by the head of this grant funded project, and basically what they said is that NASA was looking for ideas that we couldn't even fathom that would be applicable in the next 50 years. They said, we want to be working on the thing that in 50 years we can even imagine is going to happen. We need to be working on that today. And I
Oh, so
thought
you
that
need
was
to
like
work on the impossible. It was like the quest was to work on the impossible, basically, in a simple way, right? Yeah.
yeah, they did. They said it nicer than that, but I think
Yes,
you nailed it. Yeah.
that's incredible. And you're like, yeah, me. I'm so good at that, right?
Bring it on, bring it
Bring
on.
it on. Bring it on. Uh,
But it was a really great platform to be able to start the thinking process. Like we should be thinking 50 years. We should be thinking, you know, further out. We shouldn't be thinking first quarter, second quarter. We're kind of a very short term
mm.
society, and we see that even in business. And I knew from a very early age that I wanted to make a difference and have an impact. And then this was kind of a little bit of the catalyst um, in that. And I had a fantastic time. I mean, it was a really good foundation for what has been the 20-year journey. Um, but I came out of that thinking, all right, if we can grow lettuce in space by like pushing a button in Houston, why are we not doing better? Why are we not doing better on Earth? Why do
Yeah.
we still have why do we still have communities? Why do we still have countries that don't have the food that they need? Why do we still have this kind of powerless consumer who really can't make a choice on what they want to eat? We just kind of have to take what we're given. Um, why is it that our ag system is the way that it is if we have this technology that can do anything anywhere? And like
Anywhere.
literally, if we can do it on Mars, like we can
If
do
we can
it.
do it on Mars and on the moon, we can do it on Earth. Yes. And
Yeah,
that's like the simplest thing when you're so young. And it feels so,
let's
just logical. And you're like, why not? But it's not everybody's thinking the same like me. It's like, it's almost that. Doesn't it feel that way?
It does. It does. I just cannot believe that this wasn't already happening. It was like, come on,
Yeah.
guys. Like, why isn't somebody already doing this? And it was a bit of a shock to know that the idea was a little bit dismissed. It was like, okay, we can do these super fanciful things for NASA because it's NASA cool, but we would never think of doing this like for us people on Earth. Like, and I just
Yeah.
thought, what a contradiction. Like, come on, like
Really? Yes.
why aren't we changing the ag system? And then there's politics, there's legal issues, there's policy, there's whatever, but it all comes down to just mindset. Like,
All come down to mindset. Yes.
yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
policy isn't separate from people. Like, people are the ones that actually enact the
Mm,
policy, they're the ones that enforce it.
mm.
So people say, oh, the policy says, but it's not really. It's people say.
People
Um,
say, yeah. But people say it so much that it become a self-fulfilling policy on its own, right? Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
And
you
if the idea is agriculture must be this way, then we have just, perpetuated agriculture this way. And I thought, nope, it stops here. like it's gonna be different. I can do something different. Um, so I decided to kind of leave academia, work on
when
the
was that?
technology.
When was the click when it wasn't just an idea? Because in the beginning it was just a nice young girl idea. It's like I can do it here. When was the time where you're like, you know what? I'm gonna take action on it. I'm gonna act on it, and I'm actually going to make it happen. What was that moment?
It was a split second moment. I was I was driving to university one day, of course, to work on this technology, and I was I was passing. So this was in North Carolina in the U.S. I was going to NC State at the time,
Mhm.
and like I'm passing these flood irrigated rural farms on the way to university, and it clicked exactly in that moment. I thought this is just insane that 10 miles away we have this you know, ability, and now look, it's not being utilized. And I knew exactly at that moment that I was going to change that.
Do that. Yeah,
Um,
I love that.
yeah. So
And
yeah,
I mean, I like the way you tell the story because when you come back, that decision of going to make, create it and make it happen was just unquestionable, so deep, so profound, so like that's it. It's like I'm not even looking or waiting for someone to tell me, "Oh, very good, smart." Deb." It's like this is it, and I love it the way it comes out through your story. It's just incredibly, yeah.
yeah. I've told the story before, and I've made the comment. Thank God people didn't tell me back then all the stuff that I hear now, like being a woman business owner is hard, raising venture capital for women is hard, changing the ag system is hard. Like, thank God
But
I
would
was
you
just
have listened? Would you have listened if they have told you that?
um, going back to what you said, in that moment, the knowing was so complete that I
Yes,
don't think it would have mattered. Like, I knew I was going to do this. Like,
exactly. It's like
so,
the why is so big that the how just didn't matter. It's like, all right, well, I'll figure it out. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The how didn't matter at all.
So
So that was,
how
yeah.
mhm. How did you come to discover that? How? Tell us.
In bits and pieces. So the first thing I did was pack up everything I own, move across the country. And I moved to an Indian reservation in the Southwest US for, for 10 years. But
Nice.
I saw an opportunity, a really small opportunity online, um, that they were looking for somebody to help with growing trees in this really arid climate. And I
Okay.
thought, okay, that arid climate looks a lot like Mars. Like
Yeah.
I'm
So
sure,
I've seen that before.
I'm sure I can do this. Like I know that this can be done. So actually, really, really crazy story. I packed up everything I owned and put it in my truck and drove from North Carolina to Arizona for this interview. And after the interview for this position, the guy said, "Okay, we'll let you know." And I said, "What do you mean you'll let me know? I'm like, it's my job. You just don't know that yet. I've already moved here. Like, like this is my place." And he's like, "Okay, well, all right. I guess the job is yours." So
He was just pretending, like, just go, maybe I'll wait for other, you know, crazy ideas. People that have ideas like this to come along, but none. Excellent. So you just went and grabbed the job, basically.
I grabbed it. I grabbed it. I declared it in my
You declare.
mind. I declared it like this
Yeah.
is mine.
That's how it works.
So
That's how it works. It really does work that way. You just feel it's just yours and you go get it.
yeah, and unfortunately, we let kind of society and other things distract us from that. But there is a power in that decision making. There is power in that knowing. There is a power in saying, "This is it. This is my direction. This is my thing." And yeah, we tend to lose a little bit of that. But I had it back then. Thank God I was a bit younger. I'm a bit more focused now. But it was still my direction. So we ended up doing the impossible. We were growing these hydroponic trees in one of the harshest climates in America, and then noticed, okay, there's not a lot of the native crops anymore because of people moving from their original homelands to here, and they can't farm the way. So we started doing hydroponic, indigenous food, so that
Mm.
people could, keep eating and growing the things that they used to have back home, but now they could do it in the middle of the desert, or that you could do it in the middle of anywhere. And then from that, it was like, okay, this is really cool. Now, what about commercial products like that we see in the grocery store shelves? And so then I said, yeah, of course, like anything is possible in this. Just tell me what you want. So we started
Oh.
growing commercial lettuce and other products in Arizona, and really nice quality products. They were going to the 5-star hotels in Vegas and LA and Phoenix.
And
And we
selling
were
them
still,
your lettuce. And selling them
sorry,
your lettuce. And selling them your lettuce. Wow. What is it that is so special in your technology that you could share with us today? Like, you come into a dry area and you just turn the land around to become fertile and to become more wet. How do you make it
well,
happen?
with hydroponics, we have a very special hydroponic system. We call it biodiversity hydroponics,
Hmm.
because it can literally grow any plant, any crop that you can imagine. It can grow it just using water and minerals. So we don't use soil.
Wow.
And in a lot of places, because we're in an enclosed environment, we can create our own rain within the environment.
Okay.
Um, we
When you
we
say
can
closed
create our,
environment, is it like greenhouses that are covered? Okay, so
yeah,
you build a greenhouse on the land. So basically, the land is just to have a space where you can actually put that together in there. That's it.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
So it could be even on cement for that matter.
Yeah, we don't need soil, so it could
You don't need
be, yeah,
soil. Do you grow them in little pots?
just in water. They just float in
Just in
water.
water. Just
Yeah,
in water. So you have the lettuce floating out of the water. Wow,
yeah.
that's
And
impressive. It's beautiful to see.
it's, it's really efficient. So like in, just to give your mind a way to compare it, in the field, like when you go to the grocery store and you buy a head of lettuce, it looks really pretty and we think it's healthy. That head of lettuce that was grown in the field takes about 200 liters of water or about 50 gallons of water to grow in the field. And if you think of a 50-gallon drum of water, it's like a lot of water to grow this one little head of lettuce.
Yeah.
In hydroponics, it only takes 1 gallon of water. That's every head of lettuce that we take out of the field and we put in hydroponics. That's like 49 gallons of water that we are saving. And just imagine what we can do better with that water. We would have more water for humans to drink. We would have more water for biodiversity. We would have more water for, just natural revegetation and the carbon sequestration that comes with that. So we're actually really inefficient as an ag industry, as a society, growing outdoors. So our ethos is to move as much of that into hydroponics, into water savings as possible. Because when we look across the world, most of the communities and countries that are food insecure are in climates that they don't have really nice land, they don't have a lot of water. It's kind of desert arid climates, and that is primarily where we've specialized our technology over the last 15, 20 years. Because these communities, these countries are saying, me, like we need food here, like we can't
Yeah.
get it.
So you've been called everywhere, really. This is why you're based in Namibia today, right? When did it start to become your own project and your own company? Because you worked on this reserve, and then when did you decide that, you know what, I'm gonna become an entrepreneur and do it on my own?
Yeah, so it was in Arizona. It was on this reservation, and we had started doing some of these commercial crops, and there was a few publications. Of course, now the media was getting to know about it.
Was interested about, yeah, because this is real. This is not just like a dream idea. Yeah.
Like what is, pictures started coming, and so we ended up in one university publication. And from that, I started getting calls from around the world. Actually, it started with one phone call. So late one night, I get this phone call, and this guy says, "Hello, my name is such and such from Turkey,
Mhm.
and I read about what you are doing, in this publication."
Uh-huh.
And he said, in my city, in my village, he said, in Turkey, we don't have a lot of water, and I would very much like to learn this technology and bring it back in and use it in my village. And I said, yes, this works all around the world. Of course, that would be a great idea. And he says, I want to come intern with you and learn this so I can take it back to Turkey. And I said, yeah, that's great, but we don't have internships. We don't have a training program like
We
all
can't
the
do it.
way over there.
No,
Yeah,
you
we
can't
can't
just
do that.
take my ideas and run away with them, in another word, right? Another way of saying it. Yeah.
And so he said, well, that's too bad because I've already flown over there and I'm at your greenhouse as we speak. And,
He
and
went
I
to
thought,
grind it the same way you did yours. You become a match for similar people. Isn't that incredible?
the universe does work that way.
The universe is
Um,
gets you what you projected. And what did you
so
do?
I showed up to the greenhouse next morning, and sure enough, there's this guy sitting outside the front door, and he had literally got on a plane, flown from Turkey to come learn this. like just no hold. So I thought, now what do I do? I have like 10 minutes to invent some kind of training program for this
Yeah.
guy.
Uh,
Um, like what do I do now? And so that was kind of the force of hand that said, how do we make this a business model that anybody anywhere in the world can do this? And that's when we turned it into a franchise
mm,
company.
yeah.
We packaged the training, we packaged the technology, we packaged the kit. So literally, we can send this kit to anyone, anywhere on Earth. The training program, all the algorithms and all that is kind of just downloaded. We call it plugging it into the internet, and then we download the greenhouse to basically operate. So you don't need to know all the science behind it. You just
Mm.
push a button on your smartphone to run it.
Oh,
Um, so it was actually by force of hand that kind of business model came, but it was the answer. Like if we are going to scale this across the world, we had to make it scalable, and so that was kind of the impetus. And from there, it grew by word of mouth and by doing different projects, and so now pretty much work almost exclusively internationally.
this is incredible. Really, I am so in awe by your um, perseverance in turning a dream for a little girl, because you were young, right? You're like, when undergrad we're like little girls, right, compared to who we are today, into a reality. And it was a vision, right? It was a vision. It's just a vision. It's like, if I make this happen on Mars, then let me make it on Earth. You didn't even choose, you said the Earth, so you had to cover the planet, you know. It's like how Ford had the dream to have a belt around the planet, and you're like, let me just grow everything around the earth. It's
Yep.
incredible. Ah, congratulations. I am so happy we get to really put forward this your incredible story, Debbie. I'm just curious, I'm an engineer, so really curious about this whole technology. When you say water and few minerals, how hard or easy it is to actually find these minerals and put them? Is it
Easy.
anyone can have, is it easy? Yeah.
Yeah, so like the number one challenge I think with the hydroponics industry, um, like hydroponics has been around for a long time. We see in the news these big fancy robotic flashy light hydroponic and vertical farm things, and that is kind of what the industry understanding of hydroponics is. But they have typically been a little bit complicated, not a little bit, they've been really complicated to set up. They've been really complicated to operate, to find a head grower to run one of these
Yeah.
things. You have to have specialized training. And they're really expensive to
To
set up
implement.
and operate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought, look, if this is going to scale and really change what we call the commodity agriculture sector, not just this high-end frou-frou microgreen sector,
Mhm.
but the real commodity sector, the things that people eat around the world every day. I mean, the potatoes and the onions and the things that we use for juicing and processing. I mean, most of the fruits and guavas and things like that get made for juice, and it's not just the grocery store fresh market stuff. This is the commodity market. So I thought, we've got to make this easy to set up. We've got to make it easy to operate. We've got to make it a low capex. We've got to make it a low opex, so that really anybody without speaking English, without going to school, can run one of these.
Mhm.
And kind of the nice thing about the early start on the reservation is that none of the workers spoke English, certainly
Wow.
not as a first language, sometimes not as a second language.
Yeah.
Um, so the whole system was developed in kind of these really easy one-line commands that
Mm.
you could run through Google Translate. I mean, and 15 years ago, Google Translate was in the beginning stages, and that if we couldn't run it through Google Translate into any language, then it didn't make it into the operation system. So that was kind of the basis of it.
And
Like,
so you were like guided by that, by the translation tool.
and
Okay.
now we're so lucky. I mean, now we've got all kinds of stuff, but back in the day, it was the very beginning stages, and
It's a
so
big,
the
yeah.
the only requirement for being able to operate one of these is that you could count to 20
Mhm.
in whatever language, it didn't matter.
Wow.
Um, could climb a ladder, and that you had 2 hands and 2 feet, because you needed 2 hands and 2 feet to climb a ladder. Like that is our requirement
That's
for
it. So
operating.
basic. Anybody can have it. Anyone can actually implement it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
And so if and then the rest of the smarts of it is built into the computer program. So, for example, like when you pull out your smartphone, if you want tomatoes to grow in a certain part of the greenhouse, you just push the tomato button. If you want cucumbers to grow in some part, you just push the cucumber button. If you want bananas to grow in some part, you just push the banana button. You don't have to know about mixing
yeah, the
so much
minerals.
water. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
computer
The
does it.
system will do it all for you.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like a user-friendly mechanism that you've created using the research you started when you were super young.
yeah, yeah. If you can't make it easy, it's not going to be scalable. So, and because we were working international, it had to be run through Google Translate, and that's actually how we came up with the name, the business name, Got Produce.
Got
Um, yeah, it's both a question and a statement. So if I ask anybody in the world, "You got produce?" Like, they should be able to say, "Yes, I got produce." Like, it translates into any language as literally, "Do you have food?" or "Yes, I have food."
and
And that
that's
is one
incredible.
of the names to reflect
To
what we
reflect the
do.
whole energy of your own, your the business and the spirit behind it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love this. This is so delightful. Really, really nice. And congratulations again. I knew your story was something big, but I didn't know how deep that was really. And today it's like you showed us when the why is big, everything happens. And you started how it start from within, and then you can scale it to cover the word, to make the billion, to just create and to create an impact actually. You must be so happy every day. You're like, wow, I'm bringing food around to people that couldn't maybe be able to grow it. Mm.
And the impact is important. Kind of the success followed. It followed. Like,
Yes.
a lot.
Yes.
I think if you get into this to meet just the bottom line, it doesn't have the same power,
Wow.
um, as having a purpose. So I really am a believer in purpose-driven companies, and just from an individual standpoint.
Mm.
Um, like, sometimes you just need that extra energy, and that energy to make something happen comes from aligning with your purpose.
Yes.
So that would be my parting advice to anybody, is just stay true to your purpose.
Look for your purpose. And I always ask the same question by the end of the discussion, as about your understanding and your definition of leadership. So what does leadership means to you, Debbie?
Yeah, I think leadership does mean being authentic to your purpose, but I think it also has another responsibility into creating a template, creating a pathway, creating a structure for others to follow. So a lot of times you get companies and they have a strong leader, and when that leader goes away, then kind of the company crumbles. So to me,
Legacy.
a real leader is one who knows how to build a template and a structure, um, for their successors, so that the purpose is bigger than them. The purpose lives longer than they do. Yeah,
It's like leadership is connected to also leaving a legacy behind, and it's the responsibility of a leader to do that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
People finally see a lot of cheering from LinkedIn. Thank you, everyone. That you're a star, Deborah. You really are. Look at you. Look at finally meeting you.
It's it's pleasing to see that. Yeah, I'm happy to connect with us.
Here we go. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know we had to connect super early because you're traveling, but that's what you do when you have $1 billion company to run around the world. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sharing your story. This is incredible. It has been incredible. Thank you, everyone, for being with us this early morning.
Thank you. Bye now.